Sir, Sriram, I request you to kindly start the program.
All right, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. You can start.
Uh, Before that, Kutika is not joined yet, right? Okay, he's facing some network issue.
Yes, Kutisa is yet to join. He's having
Oh,
some trouble to join.
okay,
You can start.
sure.
You can start the introduction.
Yeah, definitely. Warm good evening to all dignitaries, coordinators, and students present here. I cordially welcome everyone to this special occasion where we are getting an incredible Abdul Kalam, Mr. Arjun Radhakrishnan. We are truly privileged to have you here with us, sir. We humbly welcome you to this program.
Thank you
The
so much
US
for
Space,
calling me.
thank you, sir. The US Space Club is one of the most active space club in the country since 2018. We had conducted many space camps in association with premier institutions, as mentioned by Varunathan just before. And we have started our journey in online during the pandemic time. It's been a huge success. One of the indicators, for instance, would be our webinar program, which had 56 sessions online, and still it's going on as unceasing. Many great scientists and veterans from the ISRO, VSSC, and various other prestigious institutions in India and overseas came in that program. And today we got a really special and rare opportunity since we got an amazing person who has been a part of wonderful cinematic depiction of early Indian space programs. And I have been a huge fanboy of that series, like most of us, and still used to get that goosebumps when hearing out that the intro track of the Rocket Boys
Sure.
and even the scenes as well. Since Sony Live started advertising season two a few months ago, I think in October or November, since October or November, but we were impatient to see when will it come actually. And I actually saw your post first about it will release on March, and I was really excited that. And it was really a surprise for me that you just played the character so convincingly with just three photographs, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
of Kalam of that. Yeah. Yes, and we are truly privileged to have you, sir. Welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, we have veterans like Jairam sir and we have Shivaraman sir and beloved Shaju sir, Surendran sir, and many others here with us. Also, we have students who are from various institutions all over the India, and I welcome everybody to this uh, occasion of conversation. And I welcome Varunathan to have words.
Yes, sir. Sriram, thank you. Sir, to your knowledge, Arjun, sir, Sriram is a undergraduate student at IEM Rohtak. He's studying LLB at there. And we are thank you, Sriram. Thank you for your great introduction. And before going to Arjun sir, we are planning this session as an interactive session. We have collected few questions from the students, especially who are always working with US Space Club. That students have sent a few questions. We can move it in a interactive way. Yes.
I hope they're not scientific questions.
No, sir. No, sir. Most of them are related to Rocket Boys, and some questions are related to your other acting career, basically about a few other roles that you have done. And we have our veterans also with us, and I hope that they will also comment something about Rocket Boys, and we can have that kind of interaction too. That's what we are expecting. Before going to the interaction, I would like to request Jairam sir to have just give two words to welcome Arjun sir to our platform.
Thank you, Varun. It's a great privilege to be part of this today's activity, and especially to meet Mr. Arjun. As Sriram was saying that of course, I have not, unfortunately, I have not watched the serial. As I said, definitely I will watch it. And it's a great pleasure to have you here. And as Varun and others have been saying, it is a great attempt at Calicut to have the UL Space Club under the aegis of UL Space, Uralinga Labour Contracting Society. And Kutisar has taken the lead, having settled down here. And I have joined him as a deputy and trying to help our gifted children who are a very brilliant set of people in and around Calicut to promote the STEM and scientific temper in them and contribute towards national growth. So that is our background, and we are all together. Shivaraman sir is there, and Dr. Rangaraj, and so many of the veterans have joined under the capable leadership of Kuti sir, and our students have greatly benefited by this act also. So today we welcome you to our fold, and we look forward to hear from you about your life journey so far and how you got associated with the Rocket Boys and how you are enthused by the spirit of space exploration.
Thank you,
So
sir.
welcome on board. Welcome
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Varun, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jairam, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. With the permission of other members, let's move on to our interaction. So, first of all, I have to tell one thing. With the help of Arjun, sir, I was the first one to announce about the Rocket Boys Season 2 in UL Space Club. Because last year, when you guys were celebrating the victory of Rocket Boys Season 1, I was just asking in your comment box, like, is there any Season 2 for this Rocket Boys? And you said yes. And it was like a happy moment for me. I just shared it to all space enthusiasts that in my contact list, and that was a great experience for me. And thanks for that, and thanks for accepting our invitation, sir.
No.
First of
Thank
all,
you.
yes, sir. So our first question is like when I was asking,
Varun,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
before going into the question session, straight away asking him questions, no? Can we just
Yes,
ask him to speak about himself a little bit, so that how his journey, how he has
Yes, sir.
come
Sure,
to
sir.
this,
Sure, sir.
so
I was
that it will
coming.
be easier, breaking ice, rather than going into the question session straight away, na? Is
Yes,
it
sir. Yes,
okay?
sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sure. Yes, sir. Okay.
So I grew up in Pune. Actually, I was born in this place called Nagarkoil. My mother's Tamilian. Appa's was from Alua. So first 5 years of my life, I grew up in Kochi. Then my father got transferred, and I grew up in Pune. And since childhood, I've always wanted to be an actor. I don't know where it came from. But growing up in Pune is it's a very academic-oriented city. Lots of big institutes, lots of students who come there. Plus, you belong to a South Indian family, so the pressure is always there to become an engineer.
Your voice is breaking, Arjun.
Arjun, sir, your voice is breaking. Arjun, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
My voice?
Yeah. Now it
Yes,
has
sir.
come
Now
back.
it's clear, sir.
But now it's okay. Now it's
Your
okay.
voice
Please
was
proceed.
yes.
Can you hear me better now?
We missed you for a few seconds, so probably you can repeat.
Okay. So there was a friend of mine who made me, who filled the form for the Film Institute. Film Institute is in Pune, the Film and Television Institute of India. So he made me fill the form, and I gave the exams. I went through 4 rounds, made it to the final round, but didn't get the seat. Next year again I tried. Next year again I went to final round, and I did not get the seat again. Then I graduated and then I got a job opportunity with a company called KPMG, which is a consulting firm.
Yes.
So after having failed engineering, then doing this, getting into a company like KPMG was a big deal. So, but I worked there for 2 years. But finally, one day I just gave up my job and I told that I'm going to pursue acting. And I went to Mumbai. But going to Mumbai was a big struggle. For almost 6-7 years, I got no work. Life in Bombay for anybody to become an artist is very difficult because everybody from the whole country comes there. And so I got my first film in 17, which is called Sri Lancer. It was a small film which released in few film festivals. Then again, I waited for 2 years. Then I got a Hindi film called Jhund with Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. But I got that film in 2018, but it took 2 years for the film to start. In that, just when I finished that film, I got my first Malayalam film, Pada. The thing was that I never tried for Malayalam or Tamil cinema properly because I was more comfortable in Hindi and English because I grew up in Pune. But Pada, the Malayalam film, happened by chance. And I got that. Now, the thing is that none of these films released for 3 or 4 years. So it was even more difficult because I got the opportunity, but nothing was releasing. And if your films don't release, then it doesn't matter what work you have done. And then COVID happened. And within the first month of COVID happening, which was 2020 April, I got a call for this series called Rocket Boys. And we were all looking at what is this world going to be because everything was shut down. We didn't know where it was going. And they said, no, maybe by September things will be better. So we'll start the series. So I gave the audition for it. The audition was a very funny process actually. But I gave should I tell you about how I auditioned for Dr. Kalam's role?
Yes, sir, sure.
So I got this call and I saw this casting call on Facebook where this casting director was saying that we are casting for a very important role for a web series and we are looking for South Indian actors. So I applied for it and then I got no call. Then suddenly he called me and he said, actually the role is of Dr. Kalam. And it's a show on how India's space program came about. I said, wow, this is exciting. But I don't look like Dr. Kalam. He said, no, we've shown your photographs to... So, casting directors will take photographs of you from the internet and then, place... They'll sort of make a comparison and they'll already show it. Like you might not think, but they might see something in the picture which resembles. So he's like, would you like to audition? I said, of course I'd like to audition. So then I auditioned. I gave one audition from my phone, from the house, because we were in lockdown. So then he called back immediately saying, it's nice, but can you make it a little more professional? So get a nice camera, get somebody else to shoot the scene. I said, look, boss, it's COVID, we can't move out of our houses. What do we do? So then there was a friend of mine who lives very far away from my house. So during COVID, you are not allowed to enter other people's premises. But so at 7 o'clock in the morning, I went when the security guard shift happens. I went to his house at 6:30. I went to his house. I saw the security guard shifting. I ran inside the building and I went to his house and then he shot the audition. And then when I sent him, the producer said, okay, this is really nice. We'd like to offer you this role. I said, okay, I didn't believe it because it's the first time I'm getting a major breakthrough in a big web series like this. Also, this web series is big now. Back then, when we were making, we didn't know it's going to be this big. So I got this role. Then I said, listen, they have seen everything online. I'm sending it through, shooting on my camera, emailing it to them. They've not met me in person. So I told the casting director, listen, boss, I am like 5'11" tall. Dr. Kalam was not such a tall man. He's like, I have lied to them and said that you're 5'8", 5'9". I'm like, someday I will meet them in real person. No, once lockdown is over, I'll meet them in real person. What is this? He's like, no, don't worry, we'll manage it. But they really like your audition and they think that you can do that role. I said, okay. because as an audience, you also feel like if I'm going to play Sachin Tendulkar's role, then I cannot be 6 feet tall. And to show that difference, it should not look inauthentic to the audience, because Dr. Kalam was a very famous amongst Dr. Baba and Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Kalam. As a generation, we have reference to Dr. Kalam. We don't have any visual reference, or we've not grown up with any sort of, like, Dr. Kalam was in popular culture, whereas Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Homi Baba were not. So with me, the pressure was there that much more to convince an audience that, I can do that role. So then finally, after 6 months, when lockdown opened and I went to the production office, my producer looked at me and he's like, "Don't you think this guy's too tall to play Dr. Kalam?" I'm like, "Now don't take the role away from me. Please, I've been preparing for 6 months. don't do this." But somehow things worked. And I was lucky that nobody in the reviews, or at least nobody's written to me saying that the height was a problem. And that, I think, for an actor is always, you feel good because somebody's paid attention to the essence of the character, and so this didn't matter to them. So I was lucky that way that, nobody complained about it. So that's how I got Dr. Kalam's role.
Yes, thank you, sir. And what was your exact, like you said, it was a big task by playing the role of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And as a youngster, as an Indian youngster, most of the youngsters in India is following Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam one way or another way, as taking as motivation, or following his books and that kind of things. And at the exact point when you were knowing that you are going to play the role of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, what was that feel at that point of time when you got that role?
I think first, I think honestly, when an actor, you're always giving auditions and trying to get a role, there's always excitement when you get like, oh my God, finally I've got a chance in films. But with this, I got very, very, very nervous because when I got the role, I have not read the script. So I don't know how authentic it's going to be. It should not be caricaturish. You can't make it, like, you had all these thoughts. Plus, how is Dr. Kalam going to be represented? You also have the pressure of not, because we've not seen Dr. Kalam being represented yet on screen. You don't want to be that person who's playing Dr. Kalam for the first time, and then because you want to see somebody on screen, and if that person plays that role and does not do a good job, then you feel very you feel disappointed at a different level. Because like, for example, in today's times, tomorrow, if I don't know, if there is any popular person that you really want to see on screen, and if their actor doesn't convince you, then you feel disappointed. No? So I think because of Dr. Kalam's stature, I think I was more nervous than excited. I was very, very nervous. And then, it's also about a time period when Dr. Kalam was really young. He was just starting out. He was Dr. Sarabhai's protege. So all that time period, we don't have any information. At least if you had pictures or you had videos, as an actor, you can look at it and feel, get some ideas to play that character, which none of this was available. So then I was just very, very nervous.
Yes, sir. But it was so cool, sir. It was really great to see you as on-screen Kalam, because it was really good that especially the voice modulations that you have done, especially in the second part, in the second season, when you were about to argue with Vikram Sarabhai about the nuclear programs and that kind of scenes. You are doing it so perfectly. We are so proud of it because you are also Malayali, and we are very proud about that, sir. And when coming back to Rocket Boys, when you go to play with Vikram Sarabhai and Homi J. Baba, and these two characters were played by, especially the Homi J. Baba's character was played by Jim Sir, who was already an established actor, and he is doing that kind of great performance in his previous films also. And how was your experience with working with Jim Sub and Ishwak Singh
So,
during that?
so, so I've known Jim for many years actually. He used to act in a play for which I used to do backstage. This was many years back. So I know him as a person. Unfortunately, most of my scenes were not with him. Like, so I didn't get a chance to really act with him. Most of my scenes were with Dr. Sarabhai's character, which is played by Shwak. So Jim, I know him as a friend, but on screen we had very, very little time together. But with Ishwak, it was a really nice experience. Also, it was, Dr. Sarabhai had really long dialogues. So, doing that, it was a really good experience.
So talking about this Rocket Boy's character, by to study the character of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, what were the efforts that you have taken? Like there was when usually someone is first, like you said, they will look about the looks and about the dressing and about the body language. And what are the efforts that you have taken, and what were the references that you have followed?
So the first thing I did is I read the two books that Dr. Kalam had written about his life. One was Wings of Fire and one is My Journey. So I read that, and I read it at least 2-3 times because just to understand what he was as a person. Because in the book My Journey, he speaks about his life from when he was a child till he became the president, I think. So then I forget the gentleman's name, but he was Dr. Kalam's, I think, like secretary or somebody who had given an interview. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but I had read that interview, so I knew what. I tried to get information as to what people thought of him, what he was like as a person. But apart from that, there was nothing that I had. There was no material I had to prepare for his role. So I read this, and I feel like as an actor, when you read about somebody and when you keep reading about that person, you try and get the essence of what that human being is. So I think that's what I worked most on. Then what I did was, I know, again, I'm purely speaking from imagination. I have not met Dr. Kalam. He came to my college once in 2003 or 4 when I was in Ferguson College, but I got stuck outside the college because of his security. That I couldn't get into the college because of all the security, so I couldn't get him. So I've never met him. So everything was from imagination. So what I did was that I consciously worked on my breath pattern. Because I, as a human being, I have a certain breath pattern, which is why my hand gestures are different, my body language is different, my speech speed is different. So I worked on that because I assumed, I spoke to Kutti sir that day and he said he worked with Dr. Kalam for a long time. I don't know if Dr. Kalam was a very calm and composed man. But in my head, with whatever I saw of his public interactions, as a 80-year-old person, he looked like a calm and composed person from what I was writing. I don't know if he was that when he was 30, 35. When you're young, I don't know if that was what his... But I just used, like I said again, I just changed my breath pattern. I used my imagination and hope that what comes on screen will be convincing. So maybe somebody who's known Dr. Kalam at that age will be able to tell me if I played the character convincingly. Then, of course, I changed the body language. I saw the videos of him when he was president. But a lot of it I had to just do with imagination. I had to just rely on it. But the most important thing that I got from the director was that he told all of us. He told, especially Dr. Omi Baba, Vikram Sarabhai and me, the actors Ishwak Singh, Jim Sarabhai and me. He's like, play them like normal scientists. Like, in your head, don't play them as great people. Because when they were doing all these experiments, when they were trying to set up all these things, when they were in their careers, they were normal human beings who had these ideas and this passion like any of us would have. Like all of y'all have a certain passion. Y'all are all engaged in your profession. I am engaged in my profession. But in your head, you're not thinking like, oh, I'm a great person. But you're like, you want to get the job done on that day. So he said, play them like that. Play them like normal boys who have dreams in their eyes. Don't play them like Homi Baba. Don't play them like Dr. Kalam. Don't keep that in your head because then you will not be able to play them as normal human beings. As a public, we are looking at them in retrospect and looking at their work and saying, wow, you've done a great job. Like I'm talking about I'm sure if, I don't know if anybody else here has met Dr. Kalam or worked with him, but I'm sure that the way his co-worker would look at him is very different from what I as a public would look at him, right?
Yes.
It's what if tomorrow you go on to become one of the greatest scientists in this country, but your batchmates or your friends are not going to look at you like that when you are a student. They would look at you as, hey, Varun is my friend, Varun is my colleague, Varun is my classmate. But as a public, when I look at it, oh wow, this man has achieved a lot. So the essence was to just play them as normally as you can.
Yes. And sir, throughout
Sorry,
the
just
yes,
to add,
yes,
because ultimately all their greatness is there in the script. I don't have to do anything special for it. The script already tells you that, okay, this is how ISR was
yes,
set up. This is what happened in Pokhran. That's there for the audience to see. I don't need to play it in such a way to sell that to the audience. It's already there in the script.
yes. It was clearly evident when the thing that you have already discussed. It was clearly evident when you were shooting the last scenes of first season, when it was a rocket launching and the tension coming to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and Vikram Sarabhai when that mission was about to failure, and they were handling that. It was just like we can't imagine that person that we have seen as a public. We have seen Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam as a president, and after that,
Correct.
that person we can't imagine to this situation.
Correct.
But only that co-workers know. But you guys have beautifully played that roles. You and Mr. Ishak Singh has beautifully played that role. It was really wonderful, sir. And other than talking about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, this particular role of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was completely following Dr. Vikram Sarabhai throughout the season, Rocket Boys season 1 and season 2, except the last 2 episodes. How was your experience? Have you studied about something related to Vikram Sarabhai and you were have to talk something like giving some hype to the character of Vikram Sarabhai by saying with in the conversation with that character Pragna Puri, you are talking about he's like master of all trades, that kind of thing during the rocket launch. By during the conversation with that American reporter. So that kind of things were. So what are the references that you have made about Dr. Vikram Sarabhai and how's connecting those characters? Because throughout the series, you have to study about all these characters, not just Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. You have to get an idea about Vikram Sarabhai. You have to get to know about Dr. Homi J. Baba. You have to get to know about Raja Ramanna. These kind of people are there, and you have to study about them. So, what were your references, and what are the things that you have studied about the characters?
So, to be honest, see, it was not required for me to study about Dr. Baba or as much as I would, as much as I had to study Dr. Ramanna and Dr. Sarabhai. But I didn't, whatever knowledge I have of this came from the script. And then obviously I went to Google and I saw these things. But I didn't have to do an in-depth study because also Dr. Kalam speaks a lot about Dr. Sarabhai in all his writings. So that was easy for me because I understood what that relationship was like. If you see a lot of Dr. Kalam's interviews, he speaks about Dr. Satish Dhawan and Dr. Sarabhai. But as an actor, like I feel like I have to find a parallel relationship in my life to portray that emotion. Knowing about Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Ramanna are technical things. that as much as the script demanded, I had that knowledge. But for me to portray it, it was more about what was what did he what did he see in Dr. Sarabhai that he was looking up to him? What are the qualities that Sarabhai had that Dr. Kalam was so impressed by? What was Dr. Kalam's personal ambitions? What was his idea for the country? Um, so those were more important for me to understand. Like in the book My Journey, he keeps, I don't remember the poems, but Dr. Kalam used to write a few couplets, and he used to mention particular poets that he used to find inspiration from, because that's the kind of man he was. Dr. Kalam speaks about his idea of God and spirituality. So those things were more important to me to understand what this person was as a human being. If you see in the show also, although Dr. Kalam is Dr. Sarabhai's protege, Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Homi Bhabha had different opinions on what this country should have. And at some point, Dr. Kalam is conflicted. And he tells Dr. Sarabhai that, like if today Homi Bhabha was alive, then this is what he would have chosen. So the image that we have of Dr. Kalam of being this people's president, of this being a really now I'm giving a very layman's perspective. You talk about a man who wanted to make missiles for this country, but that man is like one sweet, humble, likable person. In your head, you feel like, hey, how can this man make a missile? Yeah. But you need to understand why he did that. Like, what were his dreams? What were his ambitions? He didn't get a seat to become a pilot, so he said, okay, I'll study and do this. So that, I think that journey of him was more important for me to study than study the technical things, because ultimately if I get into technicalities, maybe I will lose these other things which were more important to me to portray somebody. So.
But still, as you said, you don't get that much of technical idea about what they are doing, and that kind of there is no requirement to study other than the script. But still, there is some technical words that you have to use, and you have to give some kind of when that failure is happening, you have to talk about that failure, and and that kind of things are there.
So we had notes.
Have you done any kind of preparation?
No, we had notes on set, like to know what are we speaking about. So like I have this whole I'll try and show it on camera, but
Obviously.
like because we had these kind of references of what we were. Can you see this? This is the Nike Centaur rocket.
Yes.
So we had these kind of details on set, that this is what we are trying to create. This is what was, what we are shooting, and this is what is being created. But beyond that, we didn't have any knowledge of how this rocket was created, but I did have the names of them.
Yes, sir.
But beyond that, that is too much for me. But it's also fascinating. It's also for me fascinating how production design was done to create these things. We actually created the rocket, and we had a crane which would pull it, to at that particular angle. That was all very fascinating to see.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And coming back to the character of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and what was your takeaway after playing this role for 2 seasons? So for 16 episodes, you have played the role of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and each character will have something to learn. And what was your takeaway from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam? And what's your experience after Rocket Boys? And like Vikram Sarabhai said, do you have some particular interest in space now?
So driven towards us passing exams And it was never. I was a good student, but after a point when I went to graduation school, I was not good student. And parents don't understand how do you become a bad student. It's just that I don't think anything was like the mode of teaching, the mode of learning that we have was not giving me any curiosity. Suddenly, 20 years after passing out of school, I'm on a show which is talking about rocket science. I'm more curious, not because I have a role to play, but I'm just when I'm seeing a nuclear reactor being created by a production designer using wood and metal and things like that, it's more fascinating because I'm seeing now a live model of what this would have been. You all would have seen it in real life. We will never get a chance to see it in real life. But I was so much more curious today at this age to see, oh wow, this is what we mean by India being a nuclear power. Oh, this is how we are going to go to Mars. These are things that we just read in newspapers. We had one chapter on, when I was in school, we didn't have any chapter on Dr. Kalam, but we had one chapter on Homi Baba and Sarabhai. But the amount of, I don't know how many people have seen the second season, but the ending of second season really makes you cry. And why am I crying? It's not coming out of patriotism or anything. It's about what was the need for two people who come from such privileged backgrounds to do this for the world of science or for this country. What in back in the day, 100 years back, what was the need for them to see that dream? Where did that come from? And you see the amount, where would we have been if history is such a favorite subject because we take so many things for granted today because everything is in front of our eyes. But somebody has sown that seed 100 years back not for any selfish reasons, but just for pure love for science or love for the country. Somebody's put those seeds, and today we are reaping the benefits of it. Like all the things that's spoken about Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Homi Baba and Dr. Kalam in that series, when that end slate plays, you just feel like, I as an actor didn't feel that on set because I'm trying to focus on the shot, on the scene, perform it well. But when you sit back, when you finally done everything and you're seeing the series, and after the series, which is a fiction, it's fictional at the end. I mean, it's real life events, but it's a fictional representation. But in the end, when they show the real work that these men have done, Dr. Ramanna, Dr. Kalam, and all of them, I was crying so much because it's like so much achievement, so much that they've given to this country. So that was an emotional thing, but yeah, generally I'm now more curious now. I was never interested in seeing the moon with a telescope. Yeah, I've seen the moon with a telescope because somebody had a telescope, but there was no interest beyond that. But today there is. Today because there is maybe because I'm older and as you get older, there's no pressure of an exam for me. This is not my career. So maybe that's why the curiosity is that much more to know about these things. So
Thank you, sir. And yes, sir. And talking about Rocket Boys, the making of Rocket Boys, technically a film or a web series or a short film, a series, it's technically a responsibility of a director or a producer. But when come to the public, it becomes a responsibility of major actors also, who have played the key roles of this series or film. The responsibility is shared with the actors also. So there was possibilities for allegations like the fictional characters and the controversy of Dr. Homi J. Baba's death, that kind of things. What were the discussions during the making of Rocket Boys within you about how we can handle these kind of things? Will there be a question for about this? Were there any discussions about that kind of things?
So, firstly, none of the actors are involved in the script writing process. That's something that the producers and the writer and the director did. But we were not expecting any controversies till the first season came out. Because there was because the characters of Mehdi Raza and
Mathu.
Mathur are
Yes, Siva.
bunch of fictionalized characters put together. They were not specific people. Rest everybody is real in the show. So we didn't know that these things will cause controversies. But I think the director addressed them well. Also, people had to watch the second episode, a second season, to get a conclusion on those characters. So I hope that that controversies died down. I understand the responsibility, but I feel like uh, if you're asking, well, I mean, it comes from, was there any inauthenticity in showing that India had its enemies who didn't want India to make a, who didn't want India to be a nuclear nation? I'm sure there was. As I can't for sure say there was, but we read things and we get knowledge and like, oh, maybe these guys opposed India and India's progress. So I think as much as authentic material we could get, we've like, there's a conversation between the CIA agent Crowley and the reporter who spoke of Dr. Baba's the fact that they plotted to kill Dr. Baba. So all of this there in public domain. Um, so nothing in the show has been made which is inaccurate. Then there was, of course, there is the other big it was not a controversy, but there was a big discussion that a lot of other characters, a lot of other famous scientists were not given due representation in the show. The thing is that the show it's a limited series. It's made for an audience. It's not made about 10 people. You have to focus on a few central characters. So that was what the focus was. That there are these 4-5 scientists. Of course, we know that they are not the only scientists who got India to where it was, but it was very specific to the story that was being told. In fact, when the story came about, when Abhay said that I want to do this story, he discovered that he found out that there was this friendship and this different opposing thoughts that Dr. Baba and Dr. Sarabhai had. And I think that for him was the most exciting thing, that such big figures actually were so close and worked in tandem. So the show is made about these specific people, hence we speak about these specific people. But in no way does it mean that these were the only people who contributed to India's progress. It's just purely for drama's sake that we are focusing on 4 or 5 characters. So yeah.
Exactly, sir. And we are very happy about that. There were no much works about the scientists who have made India proud. But at least Rocket Boys have clearly portrayed the 3 great scientists who have built India's.
Who would have thought that a program, a show on scientists can be so entertaining?
Yes, sir. Yes, exactly, sir.
Varun,
like you said,
Varun, just interfering. Then let others also to interact with us. Then
yes,
yes, sir. Sure, sir. I was just asking the questions that collected from students, and I was about to come to our mentors also. And with your permission, sir, I would like to request Shivaraman sir to make a comment. Shivaraman sir, am I audible for you?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hello, Arjun.
Hello, sir.
Varun and Sajil sir. Very happy to hear you, Arjun, especially your attitude about as an actor. You are really interested in science. You keep that up very well. In fact, I used to watch many Malayalam movies. I love Malayalam movies more than any other thing. I studied my BSc and MSc in Malayalam in Palakkad, and I got a chance to do my PhD in physical research laboratory.
Okay.
Where Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Kalam were there.
Okay.
I got interaction with them. Dr. Kalam used to sit in one of the rooms in the PRL, and Dr. Sarabhai in another room. And they used to go around laboratory and encourage students. And even in 1968, I had participated in a rocket campaign where we released some clouds, barium and strontium clouds, and measured the neutral wind and electric field. and I had seen Dr. Kalam from a distance, and Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Kalam are really great people. And to play as Dr. Abdul Kalam in a serial and a movie is a really great thing, and we are very lucky person to do that.
Yes, sir.
And have you visited any of the launching centers, Tumba,
I would love to.
before going to taking the movie?
No,
Have you been taken?
the producers and the directors, I believe, must have visited. But because it was during COVID, we were not allowed to travel.
Have you been
so I
to
couldn't.
Tulsa?
No, sir.
Okay.
I would love to.
Okay, good. Yes. And your kind words on our science and progress. If it was not for Dr. Sarabhai, who had a vision that we should do it and convince our Prime Minister at that time, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, you see what would have been our condition presently. We would have been
Yes, sir.
nowhere. And we are country. Recently, we had launched 36 web straight a few days back. That is a
Yes,
commercial
yes.
launch. And we had earned even $150.
Okay.
By launching, started earning the things. In those days, my parents used to ask, PhD, and that too in a Dr. Sarabhai used to say that we are not doing research. Just we will not be as
I think there's a small network issue.
I think it got disconnected.
Yes, I think so. Uh, Sharisa, would you like to come into words? Sharisa?
Wait a minute. Hi, Varun. Then
Hi,
hi,
sir.
Arjun, and we are so happy to hear your experience with this web series. And our students are there. Are a lot of 30 students are here with us. They are with different categories, even from high school students to UG students also there. And Dr. Jayaram, former deputy director of ISRO, has joined from Germany, is also with us. And it's the students are with their dream to the space and space related industries and job with the and good academic excellence. And all these good thing would be an impetus for our students to think about the future and all the inspiring stories about you. And whoever act in a series or movie, and the general public thought is that you are just like that person. It's a impersonation like that, and we also do that, and we expect a good future in this in your career also.
Thank you.
We wish such a giant leap to you, and I am happy to say that some resemblance of your face with the famous actor Vikram. That's the thing. That's the thing also there. I am so proud to be that, and we see a good future with you, and heartful blessing. And I am a high school teacher from Calicut, Balisheri, and engage with these students, and so happy. That's it. That's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Sharisa was the best awardee for Kerala State Teachers Award last year. He got that Best Teacher Award last year from Kerala State Government. And he's continuously supporting us for the past years as our mentor. He's one of our core council member and our mentor who mentor all student activities and who is doing all things or finding his time for nurturing the students in this domain. And sir, like I said, I'm a huge fanboy of Rocket Boys, and there are many other fanboys and fangirls of Rocket Boys here. And one person whom I know personally is Mr. Sayus. So I would like to request Sayus, who is a NIT student from NIT Calicut. And Sayus, would you like to track something, or would you like to ask a question with Arjun sir?
Definitely, definitely, I need to ask some questions.
Hi,
So,
Sai.
good evening, all. I'm Sayuj. So, sir, I'm a big fan of Rocket Boys, especially from the introduction of Dr. Kalam. The impact that character made into this series is very big because we all are young science enthusiasts and we know APJ Abdul Kalam more than Sadabhai and Homijay Baba.
Correct.
So, from the introduction of APJ, those goosebumps scenes, everything was really, really nice. Thank you very much for that.
Thank
So,
you.
sir, my question is, will there be any spin-off series for APJ Abdul Kalam, and how excited are you to do that?
The thing is that the producers have not told us anything, but a lot of people on social media are asking that we should have a third series where we talk about 98 Pokhran. So, well, let's see how the stars align.
Okay, sir.
I leave it to the scientists to tell us if the stars will align.
Yes, as you talk about.
Surendran sir will be able to tell you.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Surendra sir was currently, sir, Surendra sir is leading one of our amateur astronomy group. Under UL Space Club banner, we have formed an amateur astronomy group named Sky Safari, and Savage is taking the student leadership of Sky Safari also. And we are having online discussions and offline Skywatch activities also. We are having daily Sky update. Students from all over India is sharing their thoughts, and they are clicking photos of live sky, and they are discussing about the constellations and the climate and everything. And it has came up as a wonderful amateur astronomy activity, and students are leading this activity. So I would like to request Surendra sir to make few words this occasion. Surendra sir. I think he just left because of network issues, something.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So, sir, I was trying to connect everything.
You could have
Yes, sir.
told me. I would have asked him.
I think I thought that it will be too much. That's why I didn't tell you. As the person who wrote this script also, as of my knowledge, Abhay Panisa was in the script making process, and in an interview, Jim Sub was saying that Abhay Pani was ready with the script of total 16 episodes. Total 2 seasons script were made at once, at a stretch. And what are your words about Mr. Abhay Panu, about the man who made this possible?
So Abhay is actually very young, and for a young person like him to handle such a big show is very commendable because he's very calm and composed on set. And working on a film is one headache. Everyone working on a film set thinks that they're going to send rockets to the space. It's not such a difficult job. It's just making a film. So we have to keep telling people like, hey, it's not rocket science, it's only making a film. So in that chaotic atmosphere, for him to really be so calm and composed at such a young age, I think is very commendable because there's so much to shoot, and especially like when we were shooting the Pokhran sequence, we were shooting in January. So it's very cold in Rajasthan. So in the morning it's 0 degrees when we reach the set. By 12 o'clock it's 40-45 degrees. And then we have to create this sandstorm. So in the middle of all of that, it's shooting the Pokhran sequence is very difficult because it's action. It's a lot of action. So for somebody young like him, there are stunt directors, there is the producer, everyone on set. I think he handled everyone very, very well. And that's the first thing we shot actually. Rocket Boys, we started by shooting the second season's Pokhran sequence first. So it sort of set a base for where the show is going to be headed. And that was a very difficult shoot. So to do that difficult sequence in the beginning, I think it was a very good idea. And Abhay is an engineer himself. So he was very enthusiastic about this story, and he has, I think, all the knowledge in the world about every character in that. So it's his passion which really made the show what it is. Of course, we had inputs from uh, Dr. Sarabhai's family, because his entire family is still alive, and they gave a lot of support and a lot of insight into. And Dr. Sarabhai's biographer is also there. So he had good support, but in spite of all of that, I think when you're just 28, to handle such a big series and it's all this, I think you need some level of ability to be composed and calm under pressure, because it's a lot of pressure to shoot this. So to shoot it in a particular time. So yeah. Plus there was COVID restrictions. Plus there was weather issues. So all of that. In fact, when we were shooting the rocket launch episodes, whenever we had to do a rocket launch shoot on that particular day, so we had shot it on one of the beaches of Mumbai in Manori. We would come at 6 o'clock on the set, and we'll see that the tide has been really high tide, so the entire beach is now filled with water. So then we'll wait there for 2-3 hours for the water to go away, then start shooting the scene. And like the production designer, and there was somebody looking after the set, so then you have to make sure that the set also, like the rocket,
Yes, yes.
prototype that we had made and kept, wouldn't get affected by all the water that was coming. So there was a lot of difficulties and a lot of effort that this show was made.
Yes, sir. Truly, Vipin sir was really inspiring as a filmmaker,
Very
and
inspiring. He was very supportive of us as actors also. Like he, because like I said, when you're playing real life characters on screen and they're such important people, whether be it Dr. Nehru, Indira Gandhi, there is Kamraj, apart from all of us, I think there is also a responsibility to get the tone of the show right. He can't also make 16 episodes purely on science, because then the audience will get bored. So he has to add drama to the science, to the scenes. I think all of that required a lot of work. He had to handle the politics that we showed in the show very smartly. So there was always a lot of pressure to get the show right. I don't think anybody's seen Rocket Boys and said that, hey, this is all too much drama, or it's fake, or the only I think the only complaint that we got was a lot of people said that there's a lot of English in the show, but but you can't have entire conversations between Homi Baba and Dr. Sarabhai in Hindi. I tried to do I'm sorry. When I got the script, all of Dr. Kalam's lines were in very, very pure Hindi. And I told Abhay, like, it will look funny if, Dr. Kalam speaks pure Hindi very well on screen. The believability will go. So he said, okay, you do what you want. So I changed the lines from Hindi to English and broken Hindi. I changed my accent. Then Abhay said, don't do such a heavy accent, because if you do a heavy accent, then it's ultimately a show majorly for the Hindi audience, because Sony Live that time was doing only Hindi shows. So if you do a very heavy accent, then people are not going to understand what you're going to say. So we found the right meter to, at least he allowed me to do some dialogues at least in English, so that it doesn't sound, fake.
Yes, sir. And the way he shorted all the characters and he portrayed all the characters was really beautiful. As his series of Rocket Boys was mainly portraying these three characters, and when coming to the second part, during the last 2 episodes, it was Raja Ramana was also focused during that mission. But apart from that, 2 lady characters was beautifully portrayed by Mr. Abhay Pani. One was played by Regina Cassandra, and I don't remember the name of the second actress, but who played the role of Pipsy. Yes, who played the role of Pipsy. These 2 characters were really strong, and the way he portrayed Mrinalini Sarabhai was really beautiful. When in the second part, he was saying that the launch is too important for me, but it is more important for me to talk for the ladies who have been struggling with her issues, that kind of things. So, how do you see the work that Abhay Pannu has did, or the script has did about portraying these lady characters, as much as important that it gives to these three main characters?
So we are looking at Dr. Baba and Dr. Sarabhai, uh, their life as a whole.
Yes.
Because you have to also understand, when you're showing the real life of these people, you have to understand where their motivations are coming from, what their daily lives at home are like. I'm sure they have everyday problems like all of us have. You know, he's got a wife, he's got children, he's got and to make it, and they had important roles to play. Like, I don't know how far this is true, but I read somewhere that, I don't know if this is true, but I remember reading that Pipsy made a lot of contributions from her personal fund for certain projects, that she would also go around advertising to sort of collect funds. So these were two women who were very supportive of these two gentlemen. So it was important to see what their family lives were, to give a full idea as to what their what they were as personalities. I think it was good. It was important to understand what their life as a whole was.
Yes, sir. Sir, when I was talking about the lady characters, here we have few girls who are continuously working for your space club, and they are doing a lot of contributions to learn themselves, and also to make others also get maximum opportunities by interacting with the scientists and maximum utilizing the opportunities that is given to space. So I would like to invite our girl students also. I would like to request Manasa to have two words. Manasa.
Oh my God, I have no words to describe. I'm so much excited. I'm a big fan of Rocket Boys. Actually, I have heard about the series from a space camp last year, and I binged it in the whole return journey to our place. I don't have no words to talk. I'm so much excited.
Thank you.
We have seen so much of series in Netflix, Sony Live, etc., and so much kind of heroism and a fantasy, etc. But there's no biopics or kind of series that excited us to this level. But Rocket Boys is really an exceptional case. It's really exciting and so wonderful. No words to describe.
Thank you.
Really
It's all.
appreciate your work.
Thank you. It's also because people, I don't think, really realize that scientists can have, you can make thrillers with scientists, or scientists can have exciting lives. I think nobody explored it because of that. Or you'll always see scientists in movies as that character who's also a spy or something like that. But beyond that, nobody's explored. So I think full credit to Abhay Pannu to show the world that scientists also have had very exciting lives. Like,
Yes.
it's also about how you perceive it. It's about how you look at somebody's profession. I mean, we are just filled with stories. Somebody said something very nice about Rocket Boys. Like, we are so used to seeing shows about crime and murder and love stories that it's suddenly nice to see a show about science. And all the comments that I read on YouTube on, there are other films, people are really talking about, oh, that's a great action sequence, oh, this actor is very good looking, but on Rocket Boys, there are people writing like, this show is inspiring us to take up, science. This show is so inspiring that I want to do something for my country. So it was very heartening to see the kind of comments that we read on YouTube on the trailer. And
Yes. Thank you, sir. Jairam sir, would you like to ask something or make any comments about the discussions that already done?
No comments on the discussions. Anyway, it's exciting. Of course, anyway, I'll be watching the season 2,
please.
which I saw sitting here in this one. But I have 2 points to make. One thing is that whatever all said and done about the credibility of the series and the excitement that it has generated, The basically it also we have to recall the credibility of ISRO as an organization,
Yes.
because already that edifice is built by the hard work of so many of our
Yes.
scientists and technologists.
Yes,
And
sir.
since ISRO is accepted as a delivering organization, the show also I probably attracted many people to watch, because there is a success story already before them, and they definitely wanted to know who are the people behind that. That's one part. Another part is you made a statement earlier while making about talking about the way the series was shot, and you made a statement that you were watching the production team to constructing the what do you call, the properties, yeah, and you couldn't see the real thing, So what I suggest is use your cloud now. Go to Satish Dhawan Space Center, SDSC, and just witness one launch.
I would love to.
It is a life. I can tell you, it is a life-altering experience.
I'm sure, sir.
I as a personal, I associated with the Department of Space and ISRO for almost 38 years. Every time I had an opportunity to go to SDSC and watch a launch, every time I wept, actually. Every time I wept. Because that majestic thing, taking off and then just shooting up into the sky and just vanishing, leaving a big smoke and this one, and the messages coming in saying that the launch is successful, It's a great feeling.
I'm sure.
I think I hope you have that opportunity.
I hope so.
And then we will speak again.
Yeah.
And I will take your feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for being with us today. So it's opportunity for others now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So before moving to the last question, as we are running out of the time, we have last two questions. I just want to ask one more question about Rocket Boys. After that, I will ask something related to actor Arjun Radhakrishnan. So, talking about the last question of Rocket Boys, what was the most challenging part as an actor, or what was the most challenging scene, or most challenging dialogue, that kind of things about Rocket Boys as an actor?
So for me, okay, there was something funny that happened which I didn't actually tell you. So for me, the most challenging scene was Pokhran, because we started with Pokhran, 1974 scene. So when you're playing a character, it's always easier when you're playing it start to linearly. But in cinema, you don't really shoot in linear. You shoot according to convenience of locations. So maybe the 7th scene you'll shoot first, then you'll shoot the first scene, then you'll shoot the 8th scene. But here Pokhran is I'm sorry if there are people on this show who have not seen. I'm giving you a spoiler, but the show ends with 1974 Pokhran. So that's the first scene we shot. So it's like I didn't get to play Dr. Kalam yet, but I'm now going to play that last scene where this Pokhran thing happens. So that for me was the most exciting scene, because it was also difficult, because if I had done few other scenes and I would have understood the character, played it, and you feel some confidence, it would have been easier. But it was very difficult to directly go into Pokhran scene. Also, it was very difficult physically because of the conditions. So I had grown my hair for playing Dr. Kalam's role, but because I'm playing him from the age of 21 to 42, for the Pokhran sequence, they gave me a wig. Now they've created a sandstorm. So in the sandstorm, in the sand, like every day, like after every 3 hours, like it takes 2 hours to wear a wig. So after every 3 hours, I had to take the wig out and there'll be full sand in my hair, clean it again, put it back. In the evening when I used to come back to the hotel, the sand would start dripping from the end of my eyes. So physically, that was the most challenging scene. Also, because if you see the way it is done, because for the drama you have to show a certain kind of body language. Like there are certain, I don't want to do the spoilers, but there is a scene where Dr. Kalam is with a battery and things like that. Now that battery is very heavy. It's an actual battery I'm holding.
Yes, yes, yes.
So then everyone gave me the name. They said, we'll stop calling you Kalam on set. We'll call you Rambo because that entire Pokhran sequence is like one action thriller. So he's like, hey, there is more Rambo in this than Kalam. So, but the other challenging scene for me was actually the scene where Dr. Kalam, goes to Dr. Sarabhai's room and he finds him that he's passed away. I think that was, for me, emotionally a very challenging scene because I lost my father a couple of years back. So it was bringing back those memories because Dr. Kalam really looked up to Dr. Sarabhai. Plus, I think for me, at least in the show, I think that scene sort of gives the essence of Dr. Sarabhai and Kalam's relationship, because at the end of the scene he takes Dr. Sarabhai's watch from there. I think that scene was emotionally very strong, and it was the most. I think it was emotionally a very challenging scene. Also, because after this scene that of Dr. Sarabhai's passing, we shot it only a few months back in November or October. But after season 1 released, I remember meeting Kartikeya Sarabhai, who's Dr. Sarabhai's son, and Malika ma'am, and they told us about how Dr. Kalam was there during when they went there to bring back Dr. Sarabhai's body. That Dr. Kalam was there, and they were describing what they were going through when that happened. So keeping all that in mind, I think that was a very emotional scene, because I think also when you're telling a story, like I said before, more than the technicalities, I think what is really moving you is the emotion of the person. I don't know technically anything for space program, but when I'm seeing that thing in the end of Rocket Boys, where they show the achievements of these scientists, the reason I cry is because I'm associating myself with these scientists as human beings, as to what they achieve. I have no technical knowledge of any of these things, but what is really moving me is, at the end of the day, human emotion. So for all the relationship that Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Kalam had, to see that what respect he had for him and what it meant for him when he passed away, I think that scene was a very nice scene to do and a very difficult scene to do.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And talking about actor Arjun Radhakrishnan, you have done 2 spectacular roles in Malayalam cinema, especially in the movie Pada and also in Dear Friend. That are my personal favorite too, because these 2 characters are a conflict. One is a matured character role, and next one is a Ruth young man, like who was struggling to make his own startup ideas and business ideas independently, and he is having that kind of issues, and he is fighting in a rude way, and in that kind of an entertaining circle with Basil Joseph, Tovina Thomas, Darshan Rajan, that kind of actors, and the character role was much more serious and a matured role, right? So, how was your experience about doing these 2 roles? And can you tell us? Is that possible to tell us about is there any upcoming Malayalam movies or something like about with you?
So again, Pada was again a real life character that I was playing, because and I did not get a chance to meet Dr. Reddy, who was the Palakkad collector in '98. But I went. A friend of mine was a friend's father was an IS officer, so I went and sat in his office for 2-3 days, and I understood what. Again, it's to understand what this character is like. I don't know what an IS officer is, so I went and sat there and I saw, okay, this is how people are behaving with an IS officer. The way people interact with an IS officer is very different from how somebody would interact with a scientist. So it's to understand how people are also looking at you. So that prep I did, but when I met the real collector, which was actually a few months back after I did the film, his secretary wrote to me saying, sir, really liked the performance, and again, he had nice things to say about it. When I finally met him, I realized that he's a very, I mean, he works for social causes. So it was very inspiring to meet him and to see that, in Palakkad, because ultimately he was suspended after that incident happened because the government accused him of, sort of felt he was with the Adivasis. So he also had to face suspension. So after 25 years, also when you see him that he's still on that path, it's very inspiring to know that you started off your career in a certain way and you've maintained that even after towards after you've retired. Because in a role like an IAS officer, I'm sure the political pressures are all very different. So it was really. I wish I'd met him before doing the role, but I guess that's or maybe I don't know. Maybe it allowed my imagination to be a little more free. So yeah.
And sir, can you tell us about is there any committed Malayalam movies in future?
I recently did a movie called Ullorku with Parvati, which should release in the next few months. I'm not sure. Apart from that, there is nothing that I'm yet doing. So let's see.
Yes, sir. We are pausing your activities. We are very looking forward to see much more acting performances and much more exciting roles from you. And I have to say this: the most influenced character played by you is, of course, Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, and it might be the most discussed character. But my personal favorite among the characters would be the character in Dear Friend, because it is I
More
thought it
relatable.
like it was a yes, and it was much more tough to play as an actor, right? Because it
Actually,
has an emotional conflict.
correct. But the thing to tell you is actually the character in Dear Friend was the closest to me as a person also, which I realized later because I think that character was very non-confrontational, uh, but has these dreams. So I think I was more closer to that. I think doing Rocket Boys and Pada was more difficult than Dear Friend actually.
Yes, sir. So that was our question, sir. I would like to request Sriram also to make a few words. Sriram, are you there?
I was actually listening to Arjun sir, and I was also kind of relatable to that situation when I'm watching Rocket Boys. I'm in, as Varanathan said, I am and more into business and legal field, but my mind is there in science also. So while I watching Rocket Boys, I again felt I had to somehow go to science again and I have to explore it more like that feeling because we can do more things in the science field to as we saw in the series, and it was a kind of a really inspiring character. And also, I had watched the Dear Friend also, and I actually came to know that that role was played by you because the look in
Yeah.
Rocket Boys and Dear
Nobody
Friend was.
recognizes me from any of the work I've done.
Oh,
They can't.
it's actually a great credit, I think, sir, because
Yeah.
you actually transform to every characters that you got. So
Thank you.
I'm grateful. Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a great pleasure to interact with you. As I asked your time, I know your time is more precious, and our mentors are also here. They might
No, no, I'm
also,
not doing
they
anything.
might be also busy.
I'm not doing anything half as important that y'all are doing. So thank you for
Yes, sir.
really inviting. I got very emotional when you wrote and you said, and I spoke to Kutti sir also to talk to all of y'all because I think that's the biggest advantage of being an actor, that I get to interact and lead these many lives and meet so many people that otherwise I would have never met or interacted with. You know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And it means a lot for me as I was a follower of you since the I started watching the first episode of Rocket Boys. And after watching the trailer, I saw that name Arjun Radhakrishnan. I was searching about the actors, and I saw that Arjun Radhakrishnan is a Malayali. And at that time, I started following you. And when getting a reply and this kind of a connection with you, it was really a blessing for me. It was really means a lot for me. Thank you for that, sir. And we have few messages for you that we would like to convey all our love and wishes to you and all the team of Rocket Boys, including Abhay
Thank you.
Panu, James sir, Regina ma'am, and Ishwar Singh, all those people. Please convey our love and wishes. And
I will.
I would like to request you a special request. Please convey my personal wishes to Jim sir and Abhay Panu sir. I have become ardent fan of the works.
I will
Uh,
definitely.
Thank and our Kutisa was unable to join because of his a few network issues. Today also he went to Bangalore for some works related to student projects and student activities. He's about a 78, 80, but he's now also he's
I know.
hunting for students
I know.
and that kind of works. So he asked to inform his wishes for you, and he's regret for not able to join.
No problem.
So
I
I
hope
would
I
like
get
to
to come
inform that.
to Kozhikode and come to and meet you all in person. Let's see if that happens.
Yes. Yes, sir. I request you for the permission to update you with our. If it wouldn't be a
Please.
disturbance, I would like to update with you of
No,
our
please do.
programs.
Please do.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. So, sir, with your permission, let's move on to the wind up of this session. So, I would like to request Sayuj to convey our official vote of thanks. Sayuj, Shivanam, sir, would you like to say something? Add something?
Yeah, just a minute. Arjun,
Yes, sir.
I like your real simplicity and your intelligence to analyze things and present it. Especially when you were telling about the scene when Dr. Sarabhai died and that scene. In fact, I was in Ahmedabad when that death of Dr. Sarabhai came to us and we were really shocked.
Oh.
And for 3-4 days, we could not digest it. And in fact, I attended his cremation also. He was really a great person. And Dr. Person, when the first rocket failed, he took the responsibility of himself, not the chairman. And he said that it is my responsibility to see a second one will succeed. So this kind of spirit, I think everybody in India should have. That if you fail, don't mind, and
Yes.
you should try. And in your field in acting also, you should. I hope that you will come forward and will be doing well in your field itself. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very
so
much for spending 1.5 hours with us. I am very happy.
Oh,
to
thank you
see
so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arjun, sir. Thank you, Shriram, sir. We would like to get your continuous support in our future activities also.
Yes, yes.
I would like to have all your support, and I would like to move on to science due to the shortage of time. With Sharif sir's permission, with the permission of Sharif sir and Jaram sir, sir, shall we move on to the vote of thanks?
Yes, Varun.
Go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Arjun, once again. And
Thank
best
you so much,
wishes.
sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Arjun, once again reminding you, please take the first opportunity to go to SDSC Shar
I will.
and
Yeah,
witness
I will.
one. And if possible, you should watch the GSLV Mark III. The last launch, when we launched the six satellites.
When will
No,
that?
we'll work on that, and if we get a definitive
Please
this
tell
one
me.
now, we will let you know and make
Please
it
do.
happen, right?
Please do. Please do.
Okay,
I'll be very
Thank
honored.
you. Thank you.
At least
Thank
watch
you,
one
thank
of
you.
our videos. At least, Arjun, at least watch
So I've seen in fact, the video that
recent
that
one
the launch
when we
that-
launch
yes,
web
I will.
satellites at your spare time.
I will.
You'll
I
be
will.
excited, really excited.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Thanks.
And when you come to
I
Calicut,
would
when you come, you are most welcome to Calicut. We will be very, very honored to host you. Actually,
I'll definitely.
I'm residing at Calicut now. I'll be
Okay, sir.
back in May. Whenever you
Okay,
come.
sir. I will.
Okay. Bye.
So thank you, sir. So I would like to request Sai to take over. Sai,
Yes, okay, okay. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
So for the last 1.5 hours, we all been living in that Rocket Boys climate. We've been learning from him. We've been hearing from him about all those efforts and those. Actually, it's bringing me all the previous memories of me watching that Rocket Boys season 1. I didn't finish the Rocket Boys season 2 because of some exams and all. I need to watch it quickly.
Yeah. Please pass the exams first.
Exams are easy. Okay, so now it's officially time to conclude this section. So my role is to do the vote of thanks. First of all, a big thanks to Arjun Radhakrishnan sir for spending your precious time with us, sharing us your experience shooting this wonderful web series, Rocket Boys. And also, I would like to thank Varun for perfectly organizing this event, collecting all questions from all our students, fellows, and asking him in a perfect order. So that was really nice, Varun. Talking about Varun, because he's really into this Rocket Boys. His alarm tone also that Rocket Boys introduction music. Like when we are in Bangalore for a visit, his alarm is continuously ringing this Rocket Boys music, and so inspiring in early morning when we are listening to that song.
Yeah.
I would also like to thank Jairam sir, Shajil sir, and Sivaraman sir giving their presence in this occasion and making this occasion more beautiful, because I hope it's also grateful for you also, Arjun sir, with interacting with them, because
Yeah.
Shivaraman sir worked with Sarabhai and APJ Abdul Kalam. That's really nice. So I also like to thank all of our participants for attending this session. I know you also want to ask more questions, but there are some shortage of time for all our mentors.
I'll come to Calicut and ask these questions.
Oh, that will be really nice, sir. So with this, I'm officially concluding this session. That's all. Good night, all.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Arjun sir. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.